Craig Calloway, and I teach kids how to flip.
That's awesome.
That's it.
That's it.
Interview over.
Why did you want to teach kids how to flip?
As a little kid, I never walked to and from. I ran, I cartwheeled, I dove over couches, rolled, and kept going. But my grandfather was a foreign car auto mechanic.
Okay.
And he happened to be flexible. Not a very talkative guy, but when I was a little kid, sit in the living room, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? And we would try to outdo each other flexibility-wise. And when I was growing up, there'd be gymnastics on TV, and my dad would be like, that's going to be you someday. And
like Olympics, or what kind of gymnastics?
Anything.
Whatever.
If there was Olympics on TV or something like that, gymnastics. And he's like, that's going to be you someday. And so took some gymnastics classes here and there as a kid, nothing spectacular. Junior high. I'm going deep. Are we going deep?
Yeah, deep.
We're going deep.
I like
okay.
your story.
I'm going deep.
I was saying the backup on the idea of this podcast is I usually meet people. I'm like, hey, what's your story?
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean story? I'm not asking what you do. What's your story? And they're like, oh, I do such and such. I like doing, and like all of a sudden I hear a different story. So I'm like, I'll do a podcast where people can tell their story.
Yeah.
Deep is fine. If like, I don't want to go deep, we'll just talk about yesterday. Great.
That's me at the gym talking to the parents. I get the coolest stories out of them.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Yeah. But
deep.
Junior high, 8th grade, walking out of the building, and a buddy of mine, Richard Westmoreland, I was like, where are you headed? And he goes, I'm going to the high school to try out for the gymnastics team. And I was like, the what? And he's like, they got a gymnastics team. I was like, when, what, where? And he told me. I was like, okay, can I come? And so I went and tried out, ended up spraining my ankle in the process because I didn't know what I was doing correctly, and got in. When I say gymnastics team, it was not much. We had very little equipment. It was a gymnastics class, and then they had a team, and it was the coach's first time to have guy athletes, and there were a handful of us. And
where was this? What part of the country?
I'm sorry, Mansfield.
Mansfield, that's a local.
Mansfield,
okay.
Texas.
Okay.
The first Mansfield high school. Janet Bannon was my coach. She ended up judging my son when he was in gymnastics years later. But did that for a couple of years, and then one day I hear there's two guys trying out for cheerleader. Never heard of a male cheerleader, never seen a male cheerleader. The first words out of my mouth was, well, are they gay? And somebody pointed them out to me. Good-looking guy, Trent Bowe. He was a black belt in karate. Nobody was going to mess with him. The other guy, John Keaton, he was a monster. He was a hoss. Nobody was going to mess with him. And then a little later, a buddy of mine, Todd, can't remember his last name at the moment, he was going to do it. Well, nobody was going to mess with him. I was the smallest guy, and they wanted me because of my gymnastics background. So got suckered into trying out for something I've never heard of, male cheerleader.
Was this in college?
No, this was still high school. This was my sophomore year in high school, tried out, and we all four made it. Small town, Mansfield. Nobody had ever seen a guy cheerleader. We got called all kinds of names, and made fun of and everything. And then summer camp at SMU, there were 1,500 girls and 22 guys. And the football team traditionally would show up the last full day to support the cheerleaders. And they're looking around and they're like, you guys are the smartest guys in the whole school. And we got their respect. They saw what we did and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So we go back to school in the fall, and if anybody called us a name, the football team would step up.
That's cool.
Before we even got a chance to defend ourselves. We did our first performance at a pep rally. We were flipping the girls through the air. John, the big guy, he was holding girls up, standing in his hands, extension. We were doing pyramids 3 high, which are illegal today, but colleges, even for some colleges, they were illegal. But we were doing all kinds of stuff. They loved us. They refused to call us cheerleaders. They called us yeomen. And for the next 9 years, they had male cheerleaders on the team. And
they stop after 9 years? Or just couldn't get guys after a while?
I honestly don't know. I just remember one of the last guys, Brian Littleton, I knew him through the industry, and he was one of the last guys. But honestly, don't know. I think they have guys. Yeah, I think they brought guys back now. It's a lot more common. Wanted to go to college. Didn't know anything about how to get on a college team. I got suckered into trying out for UT Arlington, but the football team had just gotten the death penalty.
Arlington did too?
UT Arlington, no football team.
I know SMU did. I didn't know about Arlington though.
Yeah, they obliterated their football team, and
Yeah.
so they had a great program. Everybody quit. I got in there, and I was just like, no, I don't want to do this. So I was coaching, and I was at SMU camp with the team, and I got recruited to cheer at this small junior college in Athens, Texas. So the guy that recruited me, you ever heard of Barney the dinosaur? The purple dinosaur, the kids show.
Yeah.
The little green one in the tutu is Baby Bop. Baby Bop was the guy in the suit named Jeff Ayers. He's a little person. And he was the mascot instructor at the cheer camp. And the first time I saw Jeff, we're walking across the street. We come up to an intersection, and a car pulls up, and the guy just looks at us, and you see a foot go in his mouth. He's like, his legs were only this long, and he just looks at us with his foot in his mouth and drives off. And we're just like, what the heck did we just see? And then that was the first day of camp. And then meet him, amazing guy. We're still great friends today. We're constantly, me, him, and another guy we cheered with, constantly sending crap on Messenger. But he recruited me to cheer at this little junior college in Athens, Texas. Summer was halfway through. They had already had their tryouts. One of the girls had knee surgery. She was recovering quicker, and so they needed another guy. I go in, I try out. I bring a girl with me from the high school. There was another couple and the coach. That was my tryouts. She's like, okay, you made the team. School starts you move in 2 weeks, and then school starts. And I'm like, oh, okay. Barely knew anybody there. Wow. Trinity Valley is one of the number one junior colleges in the country. Now, I was on the first team to win nationals. There's a show on Netflix called Cheer. And the first season was about our rival, Navarro. And then the second season, they brought in Trinity Valley. But originally, it was supposed to be about Trinity Valley. But there's a show called Last Chance U, same producers, football show. And 2 or 3 coaches got fired for just being too rough on the kids, apparently. I haven't seen
The
it.
Last Chance U? The documented
Last Chance
that
U, yeah.
Exposed it and got them fired? Or was it because of the documentary?
Because of the documentary. And so
They're
Trinity
so
Valley, the dean, whoever in charge, said, we want the final say on what's produced on TV because we don't want it produced in a bad light. And they said, no, you can't. So they went to Navarro, which they're neck and neck. And
they wanted the publicity, so they're willing to go.
Yeah, so Navarro did it, and it was a great decision. It was the number one show on Netflix, both seasons. But I was on the team the first year we won nationals.
That's cool.
And then went from there to Oklahoma State. Here I cheered at Mansfield, small stadium. Yeah. Then I went to Trinity Valley, cheered in Athens High School Stadium, small stadium. Go to Oklahoma State, and the stadium's 49. It seats 49,000 people. But our first game was at Ohio State's 100th anniversary. 94,000 people in the arena. And
indoor arena, like basketball arena.
No, I'm sorry.
The football stadium.
Football stadium. Sorry, in the football stadium. And we get out there, Oklahoma State, one of our big chants, we go, OSU, and the whole crowd chants with us. 94,000 people from Ohio State going, Ohio State University, cheering along with us. We were like, oh my God, this is amazing. So cheered there, won nationals with Oklahoma State. Been told it's to this date the highest recorded margin between us and the next team. That's cool. Still. The winners at nationals got to perform in Japan. All expenses paid for 2 weeks. We were treated like rock stars. That was an amazing trip. The following year, I got to go perform in Taiwan, same situation. All expenses paid, treated like rock stars 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then I had wanted to I had a Japanese roommate at Trinity Valley, Yoriharu Kinoshita. They called him Baby Sumo. Pudgy Japanese guy. Was not a cheerleader.
No,
and he'd never heard of it. We had some amazing experiences. Great guy. He followed me to OSU, and I'm losing track of myself there. I wanted to go to Japan and teach English. I was one of the last grades, one of the last years in high school to graduate that did not need, you didn't have to have a foreign language back then.
Oh.
And it caught up with me when I got to Oklahoma State. They said, you need a foreign language. So I was like, okay, I'll take Japanese. So I took a couple of years, and I wanted to go to Japan and teach English. And I was fascinated with Asia, and I just wanted to see the world.
Yeah.
And while I was at Oklahoma State, I ended up choreographing a routine for Duncanville High School. They were 3-time national champions. They got a new coach. They asked me to come in and do their stunts and their pyramids. And everybody loved it. I took the current college new stunts and turned them into group stunts for the girls. And it went over very well. So I was like, well, do I go to Japan? Or do I stay and ride this wave? So I stayed and I coached and started choreographing and all that. Side note, the show Cheer on Netflix, back then the coach was a guy by the name of John Fisher. He and I have judged together over the years. Great guy. Yeah. Amazing dance coach. He was the dance coach at Navarro, and the cheerleaders were his stepchildren. He wanted to retire. He called my coach CJ and said, hey, do you know anybody that can replace me? And she says, yeah, get Calloway. So I applied for the job, but I was going to take the cheerleaders, and the dance team were going to be my stepchildren. Well, they were amazing. They said, heck no, not going to happen.
Yeah.
So they hired a girl that I cheered with. I didn't get the whole job. So what'd they do? They split it into 2 separate jobs and hired a girl I cheered with at Trinity Valley. She lasted like a semester, and then Monica, who's the coach at Navarro, got the job. I'm not going to sit here and try to say I could do a better job than Monica. She's amazing. I know her. Nothing but respect. But yeah, I got offered that job. Let's see. College.
I guess you enjoy it.
As my brother put it, I get paid to play. My job is a blast. I work with kids. I'm a loud, obnoxious idiot. We keep it fun. There are gyms where the kids get screamed at for making mistakes. You're learning something new. You're going to make mistakes. Why the heck get punished for making a mistake? It's like, okay, here's your mistake. Get it? Let's move on. But just working with kids, the fun and the celebration of getting a new skill. A lot of fun. Let's see. After college, coached at a few gyms. A buddy of mine from Oklahoma State asked me to come help him in Tulsa at his gym. And I did a year with him, and then I opened my first gym out there. Got into the competition cheer side. I had the largest co-ed program in Oklahoma at the time. I did that for about 10 years. Great kids, to this day, still friends with some of those kids I've coached. Got burnt out on the all-star industry, and
in what way?
Stupid drama. I was coaching my co-ed kids one day. Look on the floor, and there's 2 strange boys standing out there on the floor talking to my guys, and I'm like, who the heck are these guys? Oh, they're from the other gym. They're trying to recruit them off the floor. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
You walk into my house, my gym, and try to steal my kids. My house was vandalized. I got threatening phone calls. Just stupid drama.
This is in Oklahoma?
Yeah, this was in Tulsa. And it was childish. And I just got burnt out on it. And things had changed. Loyalty wasn't the same. Kids started gym hopping, chasing trophies. And so I was like, okay, I'm done with that. Sold the gym, moved back to Texas, worked for a friend in Rockwall. And I started traveling more. I've gotten to travel the world coaching.
Like clinics type thing? What do you mean? Or
yeah,
like private people fly you out to work on something?
A friend of mine introduced me to a team in just south of London in Carshalton, England. There's a football club called the Crystal Palace. And they had their coach, Jean Eve. She's American. Her husband's British. She started a cheer program there. In England, parents don't
cheer
go
for the soccer club.
Yes, for the
football.
Yes, in England, parents don't go watch their kids play sports, and so sideline cheerleading is still pretty much non-existent there. So it was more a competition cheer team, and so I coached them.
Are these like high school kids?
Yeah, high school and junior high, all the way down. I would go once or twice a year for 1 or 2 weeks. It was like family out there. And just for about 12 years, I was flying out to England, working with them. Got hooked up with a gym in Canada and Victoria. They're 45 minutes east in Abbotsford, Valley All-Stars.
On Vancouver Island? You said...
No, I'm sorry.
Vancouver.
East of Vancouver.
Okay.
Inland more.
Yeah.
Abbotsford. And I was flying out there for almost every month for about 2 years. I got, when I went to Japan and Taiwan, got to coach little clinics out there while we were performing. Friend of mine, when 9/11 hit, she was Miss Wren back then. I had my co-ed stunt class in Texas, and 2 of my cheerleaders were high school kids, and their high school coach was Miss Wren. And they're like, oh my gosh, you two need to meet. Y'all be great friends. And we met. We became great friends. She disappeared after 9/11. Well, she wanted to do something for the military. Everybody's like, coach their kids. So she ended up in southern Spain, Rota, Spain, on the naval base, coaching or teaching math to the military kids.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they encourage you to take on one of the extracurricular activities. So she took on cheer. All the bases in Europe, it's kind of like UIL here, UIL competitions. They get together and they compete. Football, baseball, basketball, anything and everything. And so her team was like 12-time All-Europe champions. And but we reconnected, and she was like, hey, you need to come out and work with my kids. And so I spent probably 8 Thanksgivings working with the military kids, hanging out with their families. And the base commander's daughter was on the team. The U.S. Air Force Southern Command's daughter was on the team. He was over the Air Force for Southern Europe, Africa, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. And I'm hanging out, having dinner, shooting the bull, having drinks with these people. I actually got to stay at his place for a weekend in Madrid, the U.S. Air Force Southern Command. We stayed up till 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning, eating his wife's homemade curry, drinking homemade gin and tonic, talking politics. And we were on the opposite end of politics, and it was the most amazing, genuine conversation. This guy's in the military way up. I'm just going to shut up and listen.
Yeah. He probably knows.
Yeah, he probably knows. And then another guy, he was communications officer for the European Anti-Terrorist Strike Team.
That's cool.
Benghazi. His team went and cleaned it up afterwards, And I'm hanging out with these guys, shooting the bull, having Thanksgiving dinner and all that. Ruth Ann introduced me to coach in K-Town, Kaiserslautern, Germany. Got to go out there 3 times and coach, work with the kids, and amazing experience. I got to bring my older kids with me, 3 of my older kids with me to England. My oldest son was a gymnast, amazing gymnast. He's in the Navy now, but he came and he coached with me. And then when we went to Spain, I took my son and daughter and my stepson, and they got to go visit Spain, and it was amazing experiences. The triplets, I have 14-year-old triplets, 2 boys and a girl, took them to technically 2 girls and a boy. Did I say that?
You said it wrong.
My bad. Yeah. 2 girls and a boy.
In case they watch this.
Yeah. Technically, they've been to England. Their mother was pregnant and puked on the side of Windsor Castle.
That counts.
Yeah, they didn't get a passport stamp for that, though.
The T-shirt.
Yeah, but got to take them to Spain and Germany with me, and they got to play with the little brothers and sisters when they were younger. One year I got a phone call at like 3 a.m. from a high school kid in South Korea, and she says, "Hey, our choreographer basically screwed us over, and we're looking for a choreographer for the world's competition, which is held in Orlando, and we're wondering if you could help us out." And I said, "You've got just a few months, not much time. How about I prepare you for next year?" And she said, her name was Hyo, Hyo, amazing girl. She went on to MIT, amazing kid. But she said, if we go, we know we're not going to win. We know we're going to do horrible. But if we go, next year we'll get corporate sponsorships. Oh. I'm like, all right, let's do this. But I needed to talk to an adult first. So an adult from the school calls me. It's Chongshim International Academy, I think that, or International Trade School, whatever. But so a Korean woman called me. She barely spoke English. So I'm like, put the high school kid back on. So we work it all out. We get it set up. And I flew to South Korea, pretty much clueless of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's an English-speaking school. Whenever you go to school and you see a foreign exchange student, it's these kids.
Yeah.
You know, and some of them spoke perfect English, some of them not so well. And I literally had 20 hours of practice to teach these kids the skills, to choreograph a routine, to clean it up. And then we hopped on a plane to Orlando. And they 20 hours of practice time. I was there 2 weeks, literally a mountain. And there was, on the top of the mountain, there's a religious group, some people call them a cult, called the Moonies. And if you're old enough, you might remember years ago when we were kids, there was an arranged marriage of 1,000, I think it was 1,000 couples. You're getting married. You getting married. And on top of this mountain is the palace for Reverend Sun Young Moon. And he had since passed. I saw his son in the cafeteria at school. Right below that is the school all the way through college. Okay. And then below that's a hospital. And I met some amazing professors there, some of the smartest people I know. I'm still friends with one of them. He was one of those arranged couples. And just, you hear these amazing stories. But I got to go to Worlds with this South Korean team. They were at the lowest level ability level, but there's only one division way up here, level 5. And the catch was the top 3 teams from each country go to finals. They were the only team from South Korea. They went to finals. So out of 23 teams, they got 15th. I had my Canadian kids
23 teams.
There were 23 international teams at Worlds this year. This was in the beginning stages of Worlds. And out of 23 teams, they got 15th. They got last in finals, obviously. But they got to go to finals because
and they got only 15th final out of everyone.
Yeah. So they went back rock stars
I bet they did.
In South Korea. So I go back for the next year, and lo and behold, there's a South Korean cheerleading association. And I got wined and dined, and they wanted me to move to South Korea and help build up cheerleading. Well, the triplets were about to be born. And so I couldn't do that. And they're like, we can't really pay you until we start making money. But I'm still friends with the president's husband. I'm going to say her name wrong, but the president of the cheerleading association, she didn't speak English. Her husband, on the other hand, spoke great English, and he's a fascinating guy. Man, if I ever introduced you to him, you'd be like drinking buddies and best friends. But still friends with them. I went back 3 times total to South Korea. They now have the South Korean Cheerleading Association took that group. They've made their own teams, and they've gone leaps and bounds, so much better. And James, the president's husband, he has been all over the world with different cheerleading associations.
That's cool.
And the funny thing is, when they asked me to move to South Korea to teach, to help them, it was me against the Japanese Cheerleading Association and against Varsity, which runs cheerleading in America. And I was in consideration against these two huge mega companies. So that was kind of fun. Yeah. What other countries? I got to judge a cheer competition on a cruise ship to Cozumel.
That's one way to take a cruise.
It was
how interesting.
A horrible idea, an amazing idea, all rolled into one. Half that cruise ship was cheer parents and their kids. And we're literally doing the national anthem before the competition starts. And we're just swaying back and forth going, this is going to be horrible. And the funny thing is, all the parents that came, we had half the ship. They didn't show up to watch their kids compete because they were playing the slots or hung over. So I can say, technically, in Mexico, I got to coach. And then this isn't coaching, but this is one of my favorite stories. I did a backflip on top of a volcano in Bali, Indonesia.
I think I've seen this photo.
While wearing a sarong for a group of Hindu priests, and they called me Guru.
Have I seen this photo? Have you put it online? Or maybe you told me about it before. It's fascinating.
My brother has the photo.
Okay.
I have pictures with them.
Okay.
But my twin brother and I had been in Tulsa for a year. I made a bunch of money, and I was like, hey, let's go on vacation. My twin brother's an undersea photographer at the time. Wow. He worked with Jean-Michel Cousteau. He's an amazing photographer. He had been working on a cruise ship, Cunard Cruise Lines. Part of the entertainment, they would do live broadcasts, go down shipwrecks and coral reefs, and the passengers could watch, and they had a marine biologist to ask questions, and their masks had microphones.
That's awesome.
So he had been to Bali 3 times before, and he's like, dude, you need to go to Bali. I'm like, all right, let's go. So we go to Bali, and we're taking a drive. We hired a van to take us around the island, $40 a day for, what's his name? Krishna was our driver. Amazing guy. And it was $40 a day to cover his gas, his lodging, his foods, and his time. And we would just be passed out in the van, and he'd say, stop, take a picture. And we'd look out. It'd be the most, it would be the most majestic view of these mountains with rice fields. And there were 2 volcanoes, and one of them was active, and we went to the top of the other one, and we get to the top of this volcano, and again, Krishna says, stop, take a picture, and we get up and we look, and it's these ruins of this temple. You know, the walls at the highest were maybe 3 or 4 feet. Wow. With the most majestic view looking down and then looking across at this other volcano. Just to give you a perspective on how big these volcanoes were, when we flew out, you're taking off and you're going up, and you finally stop climbing and you level out and you look out the window and you're staring next to the volcano, not down at it, next to it. So we're looking at this temple, and there was an area cordoned off, and there was a sign that said only those praying allowed. And there were these Hindu priests praying. And my brother starts whipping out his camera equipment, and I didn't want to stand around for that. So I go wander around and explore. And I finally
come. Obviously.
Yeah. Well, no. I stayed out of the praying area. It was roped off. I respected their prayer, and I did not cross the line. My brother, on the other hand, so I come back, and I'm looking around. I'm like, where the heck's my brother?
Yeah.
And they're done praying, and they're in this big mob, and I look, and my brother's in the middle of the mob, best friends, arm in arm, getting hugged on. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And so they start walking over towards me, and he's like, hey, guys, this is my brother Craig. They're like, Craig! And so now I'm best friends with these guys. And what had happened was he was taking pictures, and he's looking down at his camera, and he looks up, and the priests were looking back at him like this with their hands over their eyes. And they invited him over. And so we're walking arm in arm with these Hindu priests, and you have to wear a sarong. You're not, I'm wearing shorts now. You can't show your knees out of respect, so you put on a sarong. A lot of countries do that, and Who cares? So I got this green sarong on, and I'm arm in arm with these Hindu priests, and we're walking to the edge of the cliff, overlooking this other volcano, which is active and smoking. It's the most majestic view, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is scratch. The guys start whipping up their skirts and taking a leak off the side of the cliff. And we're just like, oh, awkward. Okay. And so afterwards, they wanted to get copies of the pictures Curtis took. A couple of the guys spoke English, and he didn't have a business card, and I had one for my cheerleading, and it said tumbling, jump, stunts, blah, blah, blah on it. And I think he's got a picture of two or three of them looking at my card, and they're like, what is this? What does it mean?
What do you do?
Yeah, and Curtis was like, show them. So I did a backflip, and they all looked at me, and they went, oh, guru, which means teacher.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was my story there on that one.
The guru of the volcano. That's fun.
So, yeah. Gosh.
We're not even in Texas yet, are we?
We're not even in Texas yet. No.
I think we're still... or maybe you...
No, I've been all over. That's my brain.
That's okay.
So I coached in Tulsa for 10 years, moved back to Texas. I explored all over coaching. I thought I need to start coaching for a gym again, and coached for a local gym for a while. They asked me to manage. I was like, no, I just want to coach.
Yeah.
Don't want to manage. Just put the kids in front of me. Let me play. Did that for about a year, and then one of my brothers is in real estate, and he was talking to some other realtors that were opening the Field House in Frisco, Field House USA, mega sports complex, 12 basketball courts, soccer field, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, everything. And they had heard about me and thought, yeah, this would be a good fit. So we negotiated. They were going to give me the end of the soccer field. They chickened out on that. They were going to give me a basketball court. They chickened out on that. So they stuck me in this little rinky-dink, what they called the cave. Yeah. It was about 21 feet by 64 feet.
Okay.
Very small, about as wide as this room.
Huge, in other words.
Yeah, huge. And I was there for 4.5 years. And I told them, I said, I don't want to do teams. I just want to do skills. They're like, you do whatever you want. We never got a written contract the whole time. We were on a handshake the whole time because they kept wanting. They were proud of that little space I was in, and they kept wanting crazier. Man's like, nope, we're good. I like this agreement we have. They grew. I grew after 4.5 years. They're like, dude, you got to move on. And I'm like, okay. And I knew it was coming. So I had to move. There wasn't much available. I had to move towards Little Elm, about 15-20-minute drive from the Field House. Lost half of my business. And that was right when I moved into this neighborhood. Just bought a house. Thought I was going to lose everything. But things have grown. I shared a gym with another program for about 3 years, and then a space opened up in the same complex. Did 3 years there. I've recently expanded into a larger space in the same complex, which is where I am currently. I 2 years ago opened another one. They opened another field house in Grapevine Mills Mall. They turned a JCPenney's into a field house. I think they've got 9 basketball courts. They've been trying to get me out there. Nothing promising. One room had no AC. The other was too small. My timing wasn't right. But I share space with a Taekwondo studio. The guy's amazing. He's was an Olympic coach. I think the best explanation I heard was jiu-jitsu's taken over Taekwondo because jiu-jitsu's better self-defense. Taekwondo, which I have nothing but respect for, is more of an Olympic sport. Yeah. And when you watch those guys train, they look like Power Rangers. They're amazing. But so I took a third of their space, and then 2 years later, just a couple of months ago, I took another third of the space and expanded it. So I've got 2 locations. I have amazing coaches. The guy that runs my Grapevine gym, he's amazing.
That's cool.
And so just trying to make it work. They have other locations for the field house. They have offered to put me in them. I don't know if I want to spread myself that thin. So here I am.
So what is your hope then for the next 5 years?
I want to. I used to fly all over the country training coaches, and I want to get more into that within my facility and get in more of a management position.
So bring in more coaches and just
bring in more strong coaches, train them, and again, it's a fun job. Do I want to open other gyms? I teach kids how to flip. That's just a whole different ball game on the business side, and I am looking at some angles on that, but I'm in no hurry on it right now. So I see me in the same place.
Okay.
With more freedom to watch 5 years, my kids will be graduated, but
isn't that crazy?
I know, Jiminy, they start high school. But no, I want to travel. I want to play, but I want the businesses to be successful if they grow into more. It depends. I've got a young guy, 24, who's kind of my protege, practically a son to me. And I'm training him up, and I would like to have him run one of the gyms and just keep him happy and keep him in a good, comfortable position.
That's awesome.
The guy that runs the Grapevine Gym, if I can hang on to him, I'll be very blessed.
Do you have to go to the Grapevine much, or do you go much?
I used to be out there twice a week. Now I'm only out there once a week. I'm trying to get where I can. If I can get both gyms comfortably run where they don't have to have me, then I would like to be able to bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
And we've got a unique way we run things compared to other gyms, and we keep it fun, and we do well with it.
So you don't do teams. You said you just coach. You do not do.
I do not have my own teams, but if a school wants me to work with them and help them on their stunts or something like that.
They come to your gym for it, or you go to their
They'll
school?
come to me. So I have gone to schools for that also. Okay. It depends. I'm got some lady that just emailed me that wants me to fly out to New York and coach her Pee-wee football cheer team in stunts. And I was like, you do realize I'm in Dallas, right? And so we've got to finish negotiating that. I don't think she realizes when you get in a plane ticket and a hotel and everything else, it's going to be.
You never know.
I've done it before. I used to do it a lot, but I don't travel as much. So we shall see. But I've gotten to go all over the country doing that.
How do you get your name out? Is it just word of mouth at this point, or do you advertise?
I've tried advertising on everything, and you can't advertise on the radio anymore because what station are they on? You can't advertise on the TV.
Who listens to the radio anymore?
Exactly. You can't advertise on TV because who watches TV anymore? TV. They're streaming. Newspapers, is that a thing? It's digital.
Facebook or YouTube ads? Have you done any of those?
Social media irritates the crap out of me.
I know, but people are on it.
Post a video of your daughter doing her cartwheel or her back handspring, and everybody's celebrating, and it gets views, and people go, ooh, where is that? I want to go there. That's the best form of advertisement now. I'll say the second best form of advertisement. The best form for me is word of mouth. Yeah. The other competitive cheer gyms and even some of the gymnastics gyms, their parents' rooms, the parents are going, wow, your daughter's getting really good. Who's coaching her? And then they say, hey, Tumble and Stunt, or Craig Calloway or one of my coaches. And so that is my best form of advertising. Other gyms do not like their kids going to other gyms because they're afraid they're going to steal them. I don't have teams, so I'm not a threat in that aspect to them, and they're not as concerned about
do
their
other gyms send you people because of that?
Very rare occasions. We're in a world of egos and an industry of egos. Most of them want to keep them, but I'm kind of the go-to guy for mental blocks in the area, and so I will get, on occasion, some will send kids to me to work with kids with big mental blocks. But
so mental block's a real thing. I mean, we saw that in the last Olympics. One of the big name people had a mental block.
Yes.
In that everyone was Monday morning quarterbacking on that one, and I'm like, a mental block's a mental block, and I don't know. I'm curious on your take on that.
The Monday morning quarterbacking was based on the fact that she had the mental block before she went.
That's true.
And
so your take on that is she should have gone?
The decision should, two sides. I'm Swiss. I could care less. It affects me none whatsoever. Nothing but respect for her as an Olympic gymnast. But she took someone else's position that could have gone and completed the task at hand. So there's one side there. The other side is, oh no, support, respect, blah, blah, blah. Pick your argument. I don't care. I see both sides of it, but one side was like, you should have made that decision before you got there. And I can't argue with that either.
Yeah.
But mental blocks, kids, in any sport, in all honesty, pressure makes you freeze up. Well, when I work with kids with mental blocks, one of the big things is fight or flight. If I hide in your closet and I jump out, one of three things is going to happen. You're going to scream and run. You're going to scream, punch me, kick me, beat the crap out of me, maybe run afterwards, or you're going to freeze. And most of the kids freeze with their mental blocks. In other sports, other athletes, a pitcher for a baseball team, they start doubting themselves and they don't do it properly. A goalie, somebody kicking a ball, somebody throwing a ball, whatever. With the cheerleaders, diving backwards face first on the floor, bouncing off your hands and landing back on your feet is a stupid idea. And
very much so.
I get paid to teach it on a daily basis. And injuries, statistically, injuries are going to happen. I could walk out and step off the curb and roll my ankle.
Done that, yeah.
But when you are on bouncier surfaces and you're going higher in the air, you're just statistically increasing the chances of something like that happening. And a kid can crash, a kid can get injured, a kid can just watch someone else, and it can create a mental block. In the competitive arena in any sport, the closer you get to that competition, the more pressure it is, and the more intense and the more mental blocks it can create. I judged for over 25 years in the cheerleading industry, and I've watched kids puking on the floor out of nerves, or walking off the floor and puking in a trash can, or puking in a trash can right before they go on the floor. And sometimes they're sick, sometimes it's nerves. I've seen kids crash in the middle of a competition. But yeah, there's so many things.
Crash meaning just
wipe out, crash and burn, yard sale across the floor, tumbling. But working with the kids, I see so many different reasons that create those mental blocks. And my older brother is a psychotherapist, and he is kind of my ace in the hole. He doesn't have a 100% track record either, but kids that I had a really difficult time with, he's worked with EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Where you look. Somebody's lying to you, they always look in a certain direction. If I ask you about a certain memory, tell me about your honeymoon, you'll look in a direction. And then it's gotten bigger into something called brain mapping. If you just stood and it's like a wall, this is your whole life, and you look with certain memories and you can zero in on that memory, and he said you can get taste, smells, sounds, and everything. And finding out I had one girl, one of my worst mental blocks, and after a session with him, they found that her previous coach, who no longer coaches, I'll leave it at that.
It's probably good.
Yes, it's very good. In the middle of her tumbling pass, while she's running, while she's going, he would scream, "Stop." And that serves no purpose whatsoever. Well, subconsciously, she was seeing a big metal door drop with red flashing lights, caution tape, stop signs. And that was what was making her freeze up. 2 sessions with my brother. She came home, walked out in the front yard, and threw a round-off back handspring in a neighbor's yard. Other kids, I had a girl that was hit, I'm using air quotes, hit by a car. She was riding her bicycle on the street next to the curb. A car drove by next to her slow, and it freaked her out, and she fell over and thumped into the side panel and fell over. Called an ambulance, backboard, neck brace, ambulance ride, ER, all the scans, everything. She was in elementary school at the time. Scared the crap out of her. Froze up for several months. And I was able to get her out of that one. It had nothing to do with tumbling. It was a traumatic experience. Yeah. Another girl that broke her hand twice, once falling down the stairs, once on the playground. And after a 30-minute conversation with a frustrated mom, she tells me that. I'm like, oh, there it is. And she's terrified of breaking her wrist again, even though it had nothing to do with the skills at hand. So, yeah, I do see that a lot.
That's cool.
How are we on time?
Oh, whatever. So you get your, I don't know what time.
But, no, the mental blocks can be very frustrating for the kids. There's lots of tears sometimes. Some kids, I laugh, they're OCD. Everything has to be precise and everything has to be perfect. And their order of things, it's not perfect, it's not right, it's not perfect. And usually one of the first things I'll do with the kid is just sit and chat with them and go over everything. And then have them go play on a trampoline, go play on the other equipment, and just play. Remember when it was fun?
Yeah.
Is it fun now? No, it's not fun. Let's play. Let's just go play and let's have fun again. In my gym, I want you to have fun. And they'll start trying to do the skills they're afraid of, and if they get it, yay. If not, I'll go over there and spot them, get it, and then I'll go back and sit down next to mom. And then, okay, try this, and then I'll send them to the next more difficult piece of equipment. Play. Same thing. If they need a spot, I'll go spot them.
Yeah.
So it's a security blanket. They give credit to the person spotting them. And I always tell the parents, as long as I'm sitting right here, nowhere near your kid, we're making progress.
Yeah.
But if I'm out there, I'm a crutch. I'm a security blanket. So, and, I'm like, okay, what is your coach doing with you? Well, they do this, this, and this. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Well, why? Because I respect your coach. I would have done everything they're doing. I respect what your coach is doing. It's not working. Let's try something different. Yeah. Let's get out of the box. And so, yeah. But it's a lot of fun on that end.
That's awesome.
And just, across the board, teaching the kids new skills. And helping them reach their goals. We get gymnasts, cheerleaders, dancers, boys that want to learn a back tuck after a touchdown. We had an entire Pee Wee football team come in one day.
Did they get it?
A couple of them did. It was a idiot fest, but it was a fun idiot fest. And then one of them has a little 4-year-old brother. That kid was fearless, and he was throwing front flips on the big, thick crash mats. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The younger brother trying to outstage the older.
Yeah.
I can do this. I'm like, yeah, of course you can.
That's where the injuries happen.
Oh, I know. You've probably seen your fair share of injuries, but
I've seen enough just with the triplets. The older 4 kids, no ER visits. The triplets, oh Lord, we've got scooter accidents. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's.
So you said you have 4 brothers or 3 brothers? There's 4 of you?
I have 4 brothers.
4 brothers. How many of those were flexible and gymnast and backflips and any of those, or were you the only one?
0.
Okay, you're the only one.
You're
the strange one, then.
My older brother, the psychotherapist, he actually wanted to learn a back tuck before he turned, was that 30 or 40? I think 40. And I was up in Tulsa, so I barely got to work with him, but I sent him to a friend of mine, and he kind of got it, but then he backed away from it. But I tried to teach my twin brother a handstand. No, it was
not
a horrible
happening.
idea.
No happening.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But 4 brothers, all entrepreneurs, but we're all pretty tight. I just went on a cruise with 2 brothers, their wives, my mom, and my cousin, and it was like the perfect group to travel
awesome.
with. So, yeah.
I've yet to go on a cruise. I don't know if I will or not. But
I got some suggestions.
Yeah, I know. Most people do. And I'm like, well, before you go, I need to talk to you. I'm like, okay. Don't do this. Don't go with this people. This group.
I don't know about that, but it's an experience, and I know you like to travel. And
I do, yeah. We travel on our bus. So.
Envious of your
6,400 miles this last summer.
trip.
It was fun.
Yeah, I shared your pictures with some friends. I was like, we need to go there.
No, I mean, hitting every park we went to was like, the next one was a little more amazing. From the Zion, which was Zion National Park, was amazing. They went to Yosemite, and it was like Zion, only bigger. And it's like, and we keep on going, like, wow. And the sequoias are like, these are amazing, these trees. Yeah. As a Texan, it's like, they're amazing seeing big trees.
You're giving me ideas to take the triplets.
Oh, you should totally. Yeah. Sequoia was amazing, seeing the big trees.
Yeah.
Redwoods, we didn't. The road was shut down. That we drive by the redwoods. So we went to go to Redwood National Park, and that was just it was big trees. It wasn't like sequoias.
Yeah.
Then up into Olympic National Park and North Cascades in Washington State. They're beautiful, just amazing.
Brother,
then Banff and Jasper, of course. That's
My brother did. He took his family to Yosemite, and with the geysers and whatnot, some of them are every 45 minutes, every 2 hours, or every X amount of days.
Yellowstone, or we're talking about Yellowstone. Yosemite doesn't have geysers.
Yeah. Okay, Yellowstone. Yeah. I'm sorry,
That's
Yellowstone. Okay. And he calls his wife Mary Poppins because she always brings clear skies and good luck. And they literally walked up. All the animals came out, and these people are like, we never see, bears, awesome. Foxes, all this stuff. And they're getting pictures, all that. They go up to the first geyser. Boom. Walk to the next geyser. Boom. Walk to the next geyser. Poppins. Boom. And it's just like, they're like, are you freaking kidding me? They just walked up, and there it goes. Walk up, there it goes. Didn't have to sit for hours or anything.
That's awesome.
So take fun. His wife, and you get
she can go with us. She'd travel. Do they have an RV? They could totally travel with us.
No kidding.
It was nice.
Definitely.
It was a fun experience. So
yeah,
and not too many battles to fix on the bus on the way. So tinker here and there, about every 1,500 miles or 1,200 miles of fixing something on it. Like okay, but we've put 22,000 miles on the bus since I converted it.
No kidding.
So
nice.
It's been fun.
And you drove it to Canada?
Yeah.
Nice. I need your
6,400 miles
travel plan itinerary.
Actually, I'll send you it was Amanda did that, laid out our route where we're going. I'm like, let's hit all the big stuff. And we talked about going, because we went on our honeymoon to Victoria, BC, Vancouver, and over to the Vancouver Island. So I'm like, we'll be across the water from Victoria. Let's go to Victoria because we'll be in Washington. I'm like, no, on better thought, let's go to Jasper and Banff. That's the place I want to see. I've seen Victoria. I know the kids will like it, but it's not the same as a huge national park and beautiful water and cool weather. And we had sweaters on and fire at night. This is in July. So I'm like, yeah, it was nice.
Definitely.
It was nice. Yes.
Yeah.
This time of year, go to Jasper and Alberta, Canada.
All right.
But
noted.
Yeah,
I've been to either end. Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
Got to go out there and judge a couple of times, and then been to the Vancouver area, not Victoria, Vancouver area.
Do you like judging?
Hate it.
Okay. It sounds like you've judged a few times. It sounds like I judged.
I did it.
What do you hate about it?
Ask any judge, you'll get the same answer. I've judged all over the country. I've judged in Canada, and you take your kid to a competition. You walk in, you hang out, you go to the practice room, you go watch your kid, maybe a couple other teams compete, go get something to eat. As a judge, you're glued to that chair. I've done 3-day weekends, 13 hours a day. And you're begging for a cup of coffee. You're begging for a break to go to the bathroom. I used to travel all over, and I remember I was in Orlando. There are 2 hotels, the Dolphin and the Swan. One's a 4-star, one's a 5-star. We were in the 4-star hotel. I'm at the venue. I'm going up an escalator, and it's right next to a window. And I look to my left, and I see daylight. I was like, dang it, this is the only daylight I'm going to see my entire weekend in Orlando. And I was like, it's not worth it. And so I backed off and started judging locally. But when you're judging, you make these friendships, long-term friendships with the people you judge with. And, I'm stuck at the table with somebody on either side of me, and it's a love-hate relationship. You'll get on each other's nerves, but you also become best friends. And I swear they need to put a microphone and a camera at the judges' table and just listen to our conversations, because it's fun sometimes.
I bet.
But you ask any judge, what's your favorite part about judging? Oh, my gosh, back in the judge's room, just shooting the bull, catching up. How's life? How's the family? What have you been up to? Blah, blah. What do you hate the most about judging? They'll just look at you and go, judging.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just...
I assumed that was the case. I didn't...
It's the same thing over and over again. And I was a safety judge, which is stay within your level of ability. If you throw something out of it, then you're getting a penalty.
Because of that. You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. I don't pick the winners.
You were watching that mainly?
Yes, and you don't get to... It's one thing to sit back and just enjoy a routine. It's the other critically looking for hand placement. How high did this go? How many people were touching this? Blah, 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 blah. And you're so critical, you don't get to enjoy it. And it'd be like going through a legal document, looking for misspelling and punctuation and everything else. You're not really enjoying what you're reading. You're looking at the fine print. And then I don't pick the winners. That's the lower panel of the judges. They pick the winners. I penalize the coaches for not following the rules. Well, guess what? If you get a penalty, you're not winning the competition. And I always looked at it from the point of the people you're up against, because I've been beaten by teams that did illegal stunts.
Yeah.
And,
well, it gets you better score?
You lose a score from me, or you lose a lot of points from me. But these coaches will come back and argue with you, and sometimes they're friends with you. They'll lie, they'll fake cry, they'll scream at you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, just, rules. But I quit judging because I stopped believing in the product. Here I am with people on either side of me, and we're some of the best in the industry, and we're really good at what we do. And we'll call a rule, and they'll go, we're going to let that one fly because of who it is. Really? What about all these other people? You're letting that one go. Or we could sit and we could argue. You and I could sit and argue over a rule, and we'd both be right. And then we could say, okay, switch now. You're for it and I'm against it. And we could still argue, and we could both be right. So we're the professionals in the industry that can't agree on these rules. Well, then you've got these younger coaches and smaller town coaches who aren't as knowledgeable. How the heck are they supposed to know it?
Yeah.
And so I stopped believing in the product. And every year the rules change.
Who comes up with the rules?
Committees. Let's just say committees.
Important committees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Important committees. And I've made contributions to the rules. I've known people on the committees. I said, hey, this needs to change. I didn't get credit for it. I don't care about getting credit for it. I just wanted to make the industry better. And it's just ever changing. And granted, in their defense, creative people come up with new ideas. Yeah. And they just get crazier and crazier. But you've got to look at the safety of the kids on it. But yeah, I don't miss it. Every time one of my students says, hey, you want to see a video of my routine? I'm like, no, unless it's zoomed in on you and only you. I'll gladly watch you perform. But if it's 30 kids on the floor, I honestly don't care.
Yeah.
It's just not me anymore. It used to be.
Yeah. Huh?
But yeah.
It's good to find out what you want to do and not want to do.
Yeah. And, the choreography side, I was a different coach when I had teams. I used to be known for my creativity. I've won awards on it. And it was a lot of fun. But after a while, I remember one of the last times I really choreographed, I choreographed like 16 routines. And I just sat back and looked, and I was like, those were okay. I used to do high quality material. I'm like, this was just okay. I don't want to do this anymore. Too many. Spread myself too thin. Now it's just fun to teach the kids the fundamentals. Let somebody else worry about it. Hey, how'd you do? We won. Yay, congrats.
Yeah.
You get these little 12-year-old girls with national champion jackets, 4 of them from the same season, because there's not one nationals competition. And it's like, okay. Or they get rings, big old rings that a college football player might be envious of. And I'm like, okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
And it's the competition cheer industry now. It's a money-hungry beast. It's stupid.
It's not, though. That's the problem.
When I went to college nationals, we paid $22. We got to compete. We got a gym bag with a T-shirt, a pair of tennis shoes, a pen, a patch, and God knows what else. And now they'll pay $150, $200 just to get in the competition. And it's their big sound and light shows.
Yeah.
And major productions. But you look at those big competitions and just look at the door fee, and they could be making millions of dollars. Look at the parking. They're now doing pay as you play. if you come to Dallas, you've got to stay in these hotels or you won't be allowed to compete. And they get a kickback off of it.
Of course they do.
And so it's cheerleading is now a multi-billion-dollar industry. Penn and Teller have a great program. Pardon the viewers, it's called Bullshit. And they do one on Varsity, the main cheerleading company. And it's quite enlightening, quite interesting. And I'm not offending anybody because I'm on the higher ups, and I'm not that industry anymore, so it doesn't relate to me. But it's pretty fascinating. There's a monopoly lawsuit going on in California against Varsity because they bought up all their competitors.
Really?
Oh yeah. All my buddies that owned competition companies, it's now under the Varsity brand.
How interesting.
Mm-hmm. And, those buddies, when they sold out, there were some people going, can't believe you sold out. And there were other people like me going, hey, congratulations. You just made millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And now you're like owning a bed and breakfast or
a
wedding venue or whatever. Enjoy it. Enjoy your retirement.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I'm glad to be out of it. I'm in it, but
You're kind of in it still.
Yeah,
but...
I'm in it just for the kids.
That's good.
Work with them, and it's so much more fun, so much more rewarding, and my stress level has gone down. And all my buddies in the industry still like, what do you do? And I'm like, I just teach skills. They're like, oh my God, you're so freaking smart. Come play, come try it.
Yeah.
But
there's more room.
Yeah, you take, two have a cheer gym and a mega gym comes in, they can put them out of business. I could put my business right next to them and still be fine because I'm not competing against them except in the classes, and I'm able to focus on that. So it's a lot more fun, a lot more relaxing. Yeah.
Time to find the niche that works.
Yeah, most definitely.
And still enjoy it.
Yep.
As long as you're still enjoying it, keep doing it.
It is. I could do this forever. I'm going to be in a wheelchair with an oxygen mask. Point your toes! And a Starbucks, or whatever.
Oxygen and coffee.
Oxygen and coffee.
That works.
I tell people if I could just sit in a lazy boy and coach, you see the martial arts studios with the old sensei just sitting there and he'll grunt and whack him with the stick or something. I was like, that's going to be me someday.
That might be. Well, how do you, in this world that's changing, AI changing things, how do you still stay? I mean, you obviously don't need, AI won't help you necessarily what you're doing right now. But everything's going toward AI and virtual, and how do you still...
I actually had this mental conversation with myself just the other day. Technology, robots, AI, and all that stuff. And during COVID, everybody got on Zoom.
Yep.
And dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Coaching.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, okay, so I'm going to do a Zoom class with all these kids at home. This kid is in her game room. This kid's in her backyard. This kid's got a trampoline in her backyard. This one...
So the dining table.
And it's like, how do I coach that with skills that they could break their arm? No, this is a horrible idea. Yeah. Oh, and then you've got the internet connection. Yeah, freezing up. My kids always came back. Yeah, we were doing jump practices, and we would just stand there. And so, for their competition teams, and they would just the camera froze, and they got a hall pass not to do crap. I'm like, you're a freaking genius. But no, it's you have to have the equipment, you have to have the hands-on.
Yes.
And I hear people, you coach without touching the kid. Well, some skills, they're about to go flying through the air again, diving backwards face first on the floor, bouncing off the hands and landing on the feet. And there's so many mistakes that can happen, and that's where you've got to just catch them and wrap them up. And I swear sometimes I feel like I'm catching linebackers when you take a junior high or a high school kid with muscle and a lot of speed, basically at a full sprint, and they're flipping during that full sprint, and something goes wrong, and you've got to just halt it, and your shoulder's going, dude, stop it.
Yeah.
I'm knock wood, no major injuries.
There you go. Keep it up.
Elbow swelled up the size of a baseball one year. I'm surprised this shoulder hasn't fallen off yet.
There's time.
There's time. I know. The day's not over. I've got buddies that have torn biceps, torn their pecs. You get, man, when those girls come in there, if an arm goes wide or a leg goes wide, you get kicked in the jaw or in the temple. It'll ring your bell.
Tonight, you can tell in a split second, you tell if something's going wrong at this point. I mean, if a kid's doing something, you know when you need to grab them.
I could show you videos.
Yeah.
And these, myself or one of my coaches, and they catch this kid, and I'm just like, you better thank him for just saving your butt. And, and the thing is, I had a girl the other day, good. What the hell was that? Yeah. And this kid would have just broken an arm or both arms or God knows what. And you, as a coach, you get comfortable with it. And you
have to stay on your game.
You got to stay on your game. And the hardest part is walking away from a kid going, you've got this. Don't change anything you're doing. Do what you're doing. You've got this. And there's what I refer to, pardon the viewers, the oh shit factor. Oh shucks and oh golly, just don't do it. But when they're like, oh shit, this is getting real. This is just me, and there's nobody there to save me. Are they going to do what they've been trained to do the whole time? Or are they going to freeze up? Hey, gravity, time out. Can we discuss this? No. And that's the hardest part as a coach. And you start them on the trampoline, then you go on the long trampoline, the tumble track, then you do it on landing mats, and then eventually on the floor. And that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
And if a kid gets injured, it sucks.
Yeah.
Had a kid on the trampoline 2 days before cheer tryouts. And I have 3 trampolines at my gym. I was on one looking at the other 2. I'm working with this kid, and I see a girl 7 feet in the air, flat on her back, legs up, arms down. And she dropped straight and broke her arm.
She froze while doing something?
She just went up and froze and came down. Let's be clear. All she had to do was bend her arms.
Took her back.
Put them out to the side, put them across her chest. There were so many ways, but she tried to catch herself. And getting a kid off a trampoline with an injury right there, EMTs hate that because it's so unstable, and you're trying to keep this kid from moving. I got her off the trampoline. Parents got there, and carrying her was going to hurt it, and I didn't want to trust her to walk. She just broke her arm. So the dad and I slid her on a mat to the door, and we kind of fireman carried her into the car. And that's one of my top 3 that will just stick with me. It was a kid I adored, like one of my own, and just hearing that, seeing it, hearing it, living it. And then the thing was, her tryouts were 2 days later for junior high cheer. She'd never done it before. And I always tell the parents, hey, get video of your kid tumbling. Get video of her doing her jumps. Nobody plans for an injury. I see them every year.
It's going to happen.
Statistically, they go up this time of year because of the pressure on the kids, and they'll freak out, even on simple stuff. And so Dad got her tumbling and her jumps at one of my clinics at a junior high on the basketball court. Got him. And we had been going over their material, and I had happened to be sitting in front of her recording all the girls, and she was right in front of me dancing. Got her dance. And then I had a security camera. Not a great view. Couldn't hear her voice. Got her cheering her chant. And her dad and I, the whole time while they're doing the surgery, her dad and I are on the phone going through all our videos and video feed. And we sent that to the coach, and they were able to present it to the judges on an iPad. She made the team.
That's awesome.
and her dad and I looked at her, and she's like, that's on us.
Yeah.
But that was stressful.
I bet.
But it was nice that, she made it. I was bowling with my kids and a friend when I got the phone call, and she told me she made the team, and I almost cried in the middle of a bowling alley. And it's junior high cheerleading. It's no big deal, but man, you get caught up with these kids, and it's a lot of fun. Good. It is a lot of fun, and they may come walk in the gym with problems from home or from school or whatever, and it can affect you. But it's nice to be able to dig them out of a hole, or
make their life a little bit better.
Yeah, it says it takes a village to raise kids, and we're part of that village.
Yeah, you are.
And it's a lot of fun.
Jimbe says hi.
Oh, hi, Jimbe.
He's like, I'm gonna come say hi to you whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
Jim may go. Do you want a bath? He hates baths. That's my trick. He'll go. He's like, he'll want to swim in a lake. He doesn't want the shampoo. He's like, I don't like the smell of being a clean dog.
That's hilarious.
He's like, no, peace out. I'll be in my crate.
Oh. Friend of mine made a road trip down in Labradoodle.
It's a
And they
wire Hervey short.
Hers was made a pit stop, and the dog found a dead animal and just rolled in it. And they still had a couple more hours to drive.
I'll find a hose somewhere.
It's like, oh.
No, thankfully that hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
He's a good traveler.
Yeah.
He hadn't found dead animals yet. Knock on.
Knock on wood.
Well, thanks for your time. It's good visiting with you.
Hey, this was fun.
Yeah.
This was fun.
It was.
You'll have a good time with my son-in-law.
I will. I'm looking forward to it.
Most definitely. Repping whiskey and weight loss.
Yeah. Well,
There.
so,
Yeah, definitely. No, this was a lot of fun.
It was. So, we'll be in touch. We'll see you around, of course.
Of course. All right, then.
Later.
Hey.
Stop recording. Shake. Oh, shake. Shake. Well, see, real.
That's pretty cool.